Hi, guys. It's Ona and Dr. Vicky. We are going to talk about the Virgo full moon that's happening on March 7th. Today is Tuesday, March what? 2nd or 3rd?
Third, it's Friday the
Friday
3rd.
the 3rd. 2022. It's a Friday. We're going to do this a little bit ahead of time because I'm working this weekend. So hopefully you can get your things together for your full moon altar. This full moon is in Virgo. It's a very powerful full moon. I say that every time, but I'm serious about this one. And we're going to talk about that in a second. First thing I want to address is thanking everybody for all the comments, the thoughts, the prayers. I could feel your heartstrings dropping a note when you're writing these comments for Cannoli's passing. She was the coolest dog. I have to tell you guys one thing. All these leather pillows are a result of Cannoli's biting, humping, and sneezing on the pillows that I had. So a lot of my art is inspired by her behavior. With that being said, as I'm cleaning my house and patching my walls and have a reserve left of spackle, I thought I would do something fun with it. So I covered a couple of picture frames and a canvas with leftover spackle, and just to make some kind of like stonescape sort of thing as I'm trying to, uh, you know, get all my things together and not have to move so much stuff when I'm ready to. So look what happened today. I still have pain on my hands. Okay. Look what happened today. All right. Do you see cannoli? Do you see cannoli? That is like the coolest thing. This is just spackle and paint, like 4 layers of it. And that's the picture that came up. The initial thing I saw when I was doing it was like an angel sort of with their arms up like this. So I put the stone up there. But then just before we got on, something said, step back, like we were talking about earlier, step back. And I saw that figure of cannoli. So I'm starting to do a little carve around the mouth, and it'll be cannoli, and that'll be part of the full moon altar, because Virgo, like you just said, is the director of pets.
That's right. Sixth house.
So
Pets, because pets, you're responsible for their care. And
yeah,
that's really what the sixth house is about, being responsible for the care of somebody besides yourself.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So this will be part of the altar. The other part I'm going to do is in the description box. I'm going to put a recipe for cannoli filling. Okay. It's a real simple recipe. If you don't have a bakery that has cannolis, and a lot of you guys don't, I have a bunch I can pick from. Um, put a little dollop of cannoli on your altar for this full moon in honor of your pets. Okay. And if you don't put chocolate chips in it, you could probably give them a little taste of it. I'm sure they'd
Yeah.
be fine.
Yeah. It's mostly the dairy isn't the best for them, but in little bits, and it is protein rich in protein. And they like it. Like I know cats like it. Dogs generally like it. Of
Yeah.
course, dogs like everything, so you
They're
can't go by
scavengers.
them.
Yeah.
So if I could just say something to
Yeah.
what you just and Ona just shared this with me right before in the pre-call here, but I think this is maybe a message, right, for all of us from cannoli is to step back from everything that's going on right now and see the bigger picture of it. Was it you and I were talking about the energy now is like I can't remember who. I think it was probably you.
It was.
It was more like impressionist. We were
It was
talking
in
about this,
May.
right?
Yes, yesterday we were talking about that. It's like that's what the full moon is making me feel like. If I look close, I can't really see anything but a brushstroke, right? And
Right.
when I pull back, I start to see the image, but until I have some distance from it, I don't really see the whole thing. And that's what happened with this little
Right.
cannoli image. It's like, remember that, okay? We're talking about the full moon. Step back from that. There's an image in one of these three that I did. There's something that I'm going to see. And
Right.
it was after I walked away from it, my hands were clean, right?
Well, it's interesting because we're talking about this, and of course with Saturn, just a few minutes, just what 55 minutes after
Yep.
we have this full moon in uh, Virgo with the sun in Pisces. Saturn moves into Pisces. And Pisces is that energy of impressionism. It's impressionable,
Yeah.
right? Saturn is about structure. So it's as if all the structures are in this sort of like morphic state.
Yeah.
And because Pisces is the sign that rules the cosmic sea, right? The place before we incarnate, right? That 12th house space, which has all the potential, a potential for wonderful things and also potential for terrible things. It has to do with really, I think, what we choose to focus on. So no matter what's going on, we need to keep focus on the kind of world we want to create, right? Through Saturn in Pisces. And then once Saturn moves into Aries, we can actually take action steps on that. But at this point, and it's there for 3 years, so we're in this sort of, I feel like, morphic state
Yeah.
that, and so not getting into fear, which can be difficult with the Pisces Virgo energy, because it is an energy to a certain extent that has, I think all energy, we all have that issue of fear, especially when we see what's going on in the world. But it doesn't have to go that way. And
Yeah.
if I think if we can focus our intentions to the higher side of things, this is, I think, where the miraculous potential of Saturn and Pisces really
Yeah.
sings.
I, and the moon in Virgo, you know what? This whole thing just it reminds me of, and we're going to pull up the chart and we'll show you. Pisces is, like you said, it's the surrealism, it's the painting, it's the stain on your shirt, right? That you could either walk around thinking, oh my God, everybody's noticing the stain on my shirt, right? And be really worried about that. Or you can be a little self-effacing and say, hi, nice to meet you. So sorry. I dropped my coffee on my body today and I didn't have anything. I've had to turn my shirt around in court one time. I spilled coffee down it. Right. And I went divorce court and I was like, what the hell am I going to do? Well, I had a jacket on, so I just turned my shirt around because I was afraid I would look like, I'm going to court like with a white shirt and coffee stain.
Somebody who can't keep the coffee in the cup.
Who can't keep the coffee in the cup. So I was afraid I wouldn't present myself properly. Now I would just say, yep.
Yeah. Or
Let's walk
you
around.
or you would bring that shirt home, especially if it was in an indelible stain, right? And you would create art around that stain. Like that's the thing. We could just, oh look, oh no, let's create something around that. Kind of like, I don't know, like that's that energy of,
Yeah,
of you know,
exactly. Let's look at the chart. Let's look at the chart so we can show people
what's ahead,
what we're talking
what
about.
we're looking at, what we're
When
looking
you're
at.
looking at the full moon, which you will be able to see on a Monday night into Tuesday morning. It's actually full on Tuesday morning, 6:40 Central Time, depending on where you live. So the night sky on Monday is when you're going to see that brilliant full moon. I'll try to do what I can to get his pictures and stuff. Um, Full moon in Virgo. opposite Pisces. There's a lot of stuff going on behind you. When you're looking up at the full moon, all this Piscean stuff is happening behind you. The sun, Mercury, for all intent and purposes, Saturn's moving in about an hour, right?
Yes.
What else is there? Yeah, Mercury. Oh, Neptune. Okay. So a lot's going on in Pisces, and that's the energy of surrealism, right? That's what we're talking about in step back until you actually can see the whole picture, because this is happening. The moon is making its pass over all these first: Saturn, Mercury, and then directly opposite the sun, and then Neptune later. So much fun.
Right. And then Saturn is going to exit Pisces right around the time that Neptune exits Pisces. And the first aspect, the next Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which is a Saturn-Neptune, I think it's a 45-year cycle. I'm not sure. Not sure exactly of the cycle. Is going to be in the first degree of Aries. And that's happening in 2026. So we have until 2026 to recreate reality.
Yeah. Get your sea legs on.
Seriously.
Yeah.
This is like the Hopi prayer. Do you know the Hopi prayer?
When you asked me and I didn't look it up, I said, no, I don't. I have to look it up, and I did.
All right. Let me see if I can. I'm going to see if I can find it in my files, and I will. I'll
see if you can find it. I have the other things I picked up on for this full moon altar. I got citrine for a stone.
Oh.
And jade, anything that's green. So I know it's around St. Patrick's Day. Maybe that's what the influence is. I'm like, I keep tasting it like constantly. Like it's just everything's green, green, green. It's going to be a part of every altar for some reason, but I'm guessing maybe this whole St. Patrick's thing is coming up, and if spring is early, we're supposed to get a snowstorm today, but there are green shoots popping up out of the ground everywhere. So maybe that was it. But jade was the other one, and that's about wealth, success, wisdom, and some health too. Virgo is that sign to take care of our health, our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health, and our spiritual health. Right?
Okay, let's see if I can find this prophecy. Here we go. This is the Hopi prophecy. So this is the Hopi prophecy, and this is what it sounds. This is like the moment that so this has been around since 2000. It was it was given by the elders from the Hopi nation, and this is what it says. It says, to my fellow swimmers, here is a river flowing now very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid, who will try to hold on to the shore. They are being torn apart and will suffer greatly. Know the river has its destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of the river, and keep our heads above water. And I say, see who is there with you and celebrate. It is at this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, I'm sorry. At this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. Mm-hmm. For the moment that we do, our spiritual growth and journey comes to a halt. The time of the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves, banish the word struggle from your attitude and your vocabulary. All that we now must be No, wait. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration, for we are the ones we have been waiting for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. It's like the first rule of water skiing. You know, if you start to, you got to let go of the rope, right? Let go of the rope. That's the thing, or you're going to be just tumbling around. You got to let go of the shore, hanging on to branches, which I don't know if I mentioned yet, what I'd like to burn, and I burned every day incense or something on my stove,
Mhm.
is the roots of things, right? Hanging onto the shore and the roots are sticking out. But if they're ash, they're gone. There's no choice. You got to move on.
So there are some interesting Sabian symbols for this full moon. Would you like to look at the
Yeah. Yeah. Because I saw
do
one.
you want me to pull up the Sabian symbol or I can just read them? What would be I'd probably pull them up because
Well,
obviously I'm having trouble reading today.
because I saw one and I'm wondering, this is where I don't know if I should mention that because this could be some subconscious influence from a video I watched,
Okay.
you know. But yeah, a volcano. This is how I feel this full moon has this sort of liquid, Virgo's metal is Mercury, ruled by Mercury. But the metal is Mercury, which is like liquid, not solid, but not liquid. And that's like lava.
Yeah.
We'll see. I am going to do a ovomancy for the equinox.
Yes. And of course the equinox. Perhaps we need to get together for that as well.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so here's the full moon in Virgo, 17 degrees of Virgo. It says a volcanic eruption.
Yeah.
The keynote here is the explosive energy of long repressed contents of the subconscious. We are dealing here with the dramatic release of energies which have been kept in check by the outer shell of the ego controlled consciousness. It may be a spectacular catharsis, but it often takes paths of destruction. Yet, unless some form of purification by fire is experienced, the inner pressure of the karmic past or of more recent frustrations would shake up, perhaps even more destructively, the very foundations of the personality. Key word here is explosion. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the moon. The sun, of course, is in opposition to the moon. So you can't just take that particular
Yeah.
theme by itself. You have to look at it in balance with the other side. And we have the sun at 17 degrees of Pisces. And the Sabian symbol is an Easter parade, which is, I guess, nicer than an eruption. But it says the capacity inherent in all great cultural images to unite the members of the community in a display of excellence. It is a time for conformity to what constitutes the highest ideals of one's culture and for participation in collective peak experiences. So, this is about us showing our best selves in whatever situation we are facing. And if you watch any of the astrologers, any of the readers, anybody, they are talking about a giant paradigm shift. Now, of course, we're in the middle of a giant paradigm shift,
Yeah.
but there are times when things come to a head. And this is one of those times with Saturn moving into Pisces, with the full moon, ultimately with Pluto moving into Aquarius, which is happening on the 23rd.
Yeah.
So by that time, there's a little more Aries energy in the chart when Pluto goes into Aquarius.
Aquarius. So the last time The full moon is awesome, and it's gonna be a very interesting full moon, and we're gonna pull a card. But give me a timeline. The last time Saturn was in Pisces. I know I was born with Saturn in Pisces, so that time around 63 to 67.
Saturn was in Pisces 64, maybe 64 to 60, 68, 67. Oh, I guess I could look.
I think I might have
Oh,
it written
all
down.
right. So this is Saturn and Pisces, just so because this is just the same day, right? We
Yeah.
can still see that the sun and the moon is only like a degree away from where it was when it was full. And here we have where's Saturn? Here's Saturn and Pisces.
Hmm.
The Saturn and Pisces is making a trine to the South Node. And Saturn is very often associated with the past, right? It's about Saturn has this like building on tradition sort of energy. But now that Saturn is moving into the sign of dissipation and dissolution of boundaries,
Hmm.
it is such a ripe time for manifesting your dreams, but you have to have the faith that it takes to continuously focus on that and expressing your highest capacities, I think, right? Your
Yeah.
highest, coming from your highest place. And of course, Saturn is associated, I mean, Pisces associated with forgiveness and
Hmm.
healing and letting go. We're going to have to let go of all of this anger at each other in this country, well, in the world, I think, at each other because of
Yeah.
these really false boundaries. Like all of the stuff we don't agree on is all really just stuff in our head. Because
Hmm.
when we move into our heart, when we truly move into our heart, it opens up to other people's hearts. It's just that fear will often hold us back.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important, I think, for us to focus on not the fear, but the
Yeah.
love. Like
Yeah.
the choice is love or fear.
I think during this time with all these planets in Pisces, it's easy to fall into a dark place, to have some negative, negative habits maybe come to the surface, right? Things that were buried, and really, like you said, the time if they surface, you have to clean it up, right? Like a big chemical spill.
The last time Saturn was in Pisces was 1993,
Okay.
94, 94, a long time. It went into Aries in 90, it looks like 96. And it
Okay.
might have actually went back into Pisces for a little while. Let's see.
Yeah, probably went retrograde. So that period of time between 93 and 96,
Yeah.
if you can think about those timelines and when what kind of things came up, where you were living, who you had, who you were partnered with, that kind of thing.
Plus, that was the birth of the internet, 93. 93 was a
Yeah.
big year. It was a 22 vibration. It was a paradigm shift of massive proportions with Neptune and Uranus making a conjunction in Capricorn. It
Yeah.
was really the start of the dissolution that is going to, I think, really kick in as Saturn is in Pisces, about letting go of the old paradigm and being willing to move into the new paradigm. And of course, it doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take a long time. It's Saturn's in Pisces for 3 years, and then Pluto was in Aquarius for 22 years. So
Yeah.
we're looking at a long-term thing, but this is like a golden opportunity for us to accept what we cannot change
Yeah.
and change and work on what we can affect. And
Yeah.
mostly we can just affect ourselves, our own reactions and responses to what is happening. It's the serenity prayer,
Yeah.
which is connected to Pisces, right? So I have my Pisces here and I have
Yeah.
my Virgo here. So I'm sitting
The
between
earth.
the earth and what, which let me tell you, because the last time we did this, I had Aquarius here with the lightning, and
Uh-huh.
I had Leo on this side with the Leo, the sun. So this is like as I sit between these two paintings, this energy is much more um comfortable
Yeah.
than the last one. It was like,
Yeah. Water and earth are compatible. When you think about what you can do with water and earth, now that I'm just fucking occurred to me, okay, there you go. Water and earth. Where's Canelli? There she is. Okay. What can happen with water and earth, right? And you create things. And this Virgo quality to it is about how you nurture yourself, how you take care of yourself. Give that a new, try something new.
so as far as Saturn in the 60s, where Saturn and Pisces was, it looks like Saturn moved into Pisces in March of 64, and it was there for it did, dipped back into Aquarius for a bit in 64, but it was there in 65, and um in 66 it looks like it was in 66. 67.
Yeah.
And we remember, well, we don't because we were too young,
Yeah.
but there are many people who watch us that remember this
Yeah.
time. This
Yeah.
was
That's why
all
I
the
think,
Vietnam,
yep.
all the and all the Martin Luther King and
Mhm.
RFK. And so there's a similar energy, right? That's fomenting at this time. And of course, we have to always take into consideration that that was the years that Saturn and Pluto made a conjunction in Virgo, right?
Yeah.
And then we had then that changed everything.
There was a massive, massive snowstorm, I think in 1967 in Chicago, probably right when Saturn was leaving Pisces and moving into Aries, like buses on the drive that got stuck. There's pictures you could just Google the snowstorm of 67. It was major. Now that you're saying that's when Saturn just left Pisces, I'm like, that kind of makes sense. But I have Saturn in Pisces, and yeah, I agree. The boundaries that are not fair are no longer available. You got to think of everybody. You can't just think of yourself. So that's how I'm feeling about. There are so many things about Saturn and Pisces that's going to be interesting. Um, that will tickle my brain. So we'll see as this happens. But it's something.
We're all gonna journey through this together, and Ona and I are not leaving your side. So whether you're
No,
like, oh, we're here.
no way. Nope, you're stuck. I want to pull a card from the Starseed Oracle for the Virgo new moon, just to kind
Full
of.
moon. Full moon.
Did I say new?
Yeah, it's okay. I'm just correcting you, like a good Virgo.
I, I think there was some other mistake I made that I needed to correct. I think in the video when I talked about cannoli dying, I said my moon was in 20 of Virgo and Giblets was 24. My moon is
In
10
Aries.
of Aries. I think I said it was 20. I'm like, oh, wow. I didn't really have the guts to watch it until last night. So
Wow.
I was wrong about that.
It's okay. It's people. You're mourning.
Yeah. And still cleaning. Let's see what Cannoli has to say about this full moon, because she's something else, that dog. I swear to God. This one flipped over. Jump in. She says, jump in. Andromedon and energy, adventure, say yes to change.
There you go.
The colors are super Piscean. If I were going to say peacock, or is a stone that has that sort of quality. It is inexpensive. A lot of people have that. Would be kind of cool. I pulled citrine and jade, but I totally imagine cannoli jumping around all the time
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, she's free. Like their spirit is free.
I
They
know.
can go wherever they want to go now. So I picked three cards from my Illuminated Earth Oracle. Was there something else? Was there something you wanted to read
Nope.
about? That's it.
Nope. I just wanted like, yep.
So the first card I got was stillness,
Yeah.
stillness, and then the moon. You know, because it's the full moon, right? And then multiverse.
Huh. Interesting.
Multiverse. So we are connecting with the multiverse.
Andromeda energy is what I got. So interesting that these little themes are starting to come up, and we're getting more and more pictures from the James Webb telescope, and I do feel like that is that kind of energy, very galactic, very out there. I know Pisces is like, you think about the ocean and it's deep, but this is like expansive. This is a Mercury ruled moon, you know. So
And Mercury is in Pisces, right?
yeah. Also, the other thing you mentioned yesterday about the what were those waves? The not solar waves,
Oh, coronal mass ejections.
the mass ejections, where it's affecting, maybe you're getting a ringing in your ear that just lasts for a second and it's
I
moving.
have had ringing in my ears now for 2 weeks, like not all the time. So it's not tinnitus. It's not like
Yeah.
it's not
No.
an ear infection. I'm not taking too much aspirin,
Yeah.
but it's like, and I'll be like, and it's just so much. And I'm like, I know that this is, I don't know, it feels like off planet, quite frankly. It feels like, some people are talking that the aliens are going to come and we're going to meet them, but the aliens are here. Honestly, we are the aliens. We're all kind of extraterrestrial because our origins are from the stars.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why. I think we're getting the talk is opening up and we're getting more information about what's actually out there, what we're seeing, things like that. Honestly, I don't think they're going to swallow us whole, or, they're not setting up like traps and stuff on Division and Oak Street. Like, we're just like, we got to learn that, you know, I don't know. I don't know.
So
Most
if I could interject, the feeling that I get or the sense that I get is that one of the issues that we even like that gets expressed over and over again in the collective is this energy of not wanting to give up your agency for
yeah.
the betterment or the good of the whole, right? It's this, and that's really what happens when your ego has to surrender to the soul. The ego surrenders to the soul. The ego feels like it's going to be destroyed, but in fact it doesn't destroy it. It just makes your experience bigger in a way,
Mm-hmm.
in that you're connected to a larger whole. And I feel like that's really what we're doing. We're coming out of our isolation and the wound of our isolation.
Yeah.
And of course, the other things that are happening this month that aren't getting as much play because there's so many these huge shifts going on is that Chiron and Jupiter are starting a new synodic cycle, and that's happening on the 11th, and it's in Aries. The last one was in Aquarius, and that was the wound of isolation, the wound of being the outsider, the wound of feeling like you have no friends. And what we see in the larger whole is all these people like taking their guns because they don't have any friends and just wanting to kill everybody. That is the Aquarius. That was the last conjunction of Chiron and Jupiter. And so there's the expansion, there can be the expansion of the wound, Jupiter and Chiron, or it can be opportunity to heal it, because that's what Chiron does. Chiron is here. It's like the thing that annoys you the most that you have to deal with and heal, that would free you from the pain that you have.
Yeah.
And so now we have this conjunction happening in Aries, and it is like a 14 or longer year cycle. So it's just the beginning of that, and all of that is happening with Saturn in Pisces, but not yet. We still don't have Pluto in Aquarius yet.
Yeah.
You see, so it's still Pluto in Capricorn.
Yeah.
When that happens, but it's all like we're in this. It's like this, when you not that I've done this. When you open a safe,
Mm-hmm.
I was never good at that. It's like click, 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 right? It's the click and the opening of the safe. And we're going to open the safe, and we're going to do a better job than Capone. Remember
Yeah.
Capone's
Oh my
like,
God.
oh, I'm going to open the safe. Al Capone's safe. And there was nothing in it. It was like the big thing with Geraldo Rivera. Only this time we're going to open the safe, and we're going to see things.
So interesting that I saw in the news this morning that they found a new tunnel in the pyramid of Giza, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or King Tut's. You know what? I would look that up, but I don't want to make
Something in Egypt, some
yeah,
sort of
like
thing.
King Tut's tomb or some king, new tunnel. Let me just do this quickly, but same thing. Like, wow, after all this time, you just like did an ultrasound on that wall and decided to go behind it. I don't know, but
I'm
it
sure they
falls.
knew. I'm sure they knew it was there.
Yeah. How does it not fall in line with this whole like you got to find out what's going on in there? Maybe it's time for, a scope or something. Moon in Virgo. Let me see. You can hear giblets snore. I know you can.
I
Uh,
can't hear him. You'd have to put the microphone next to him so everybody could hear
I
him.
my mic there at the end.
Pisces rules sleep,
Yes.
So that's the other thing.
Sleep
Vivid,
patterns.
vivid dreams, guys. You definitely have to have a dream journal while Saturn is in Pisces.
Yeah.
If nothing else, if you do nothing else,
Yeah.
have a dream journal.
Um, Pyramid of Giza. Yeah. 9 mile long tunnel above the entrance. Home to the tomb of the fourth dynasty King Khufu or something. This is so there it
Well,
is,
we
right?
might actually be getting more information about Egypt, because when Egypt was at its height, Pluto
Mm-hmm.
was in Leo, and now Pluto's in Aquarius, and so there's
Yeah, the
we'll
opposite.
get probably some. It's a similar like vibe, so we get some information.
Yeah. But that's interesting that they either saying that now or just promoting the story, but I'm sure that they've x-rayed that entire building and I don't know. I'm just saying, but it falls in line with what the full moon is.
Well, I think it has some. It's Egypt. Egypt is a Muslim country, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly. And then of course, if it's not Muslim, it's probably Christian. And they don't want people to really know what's going on, because
Yeah,
then they would realize that a lot of that stuff is you know, not necessarily completely true, or the only thing. It's more about, it's not really the only thing.
yeah,
It is a thing, and it's a part of a bigger thing, and
right.
we're getting to understand the bigger things now, and that's why people are afraid. That people are afraid of what they don't know,
Yeah,
and they'd rather stay connected to, no matter how terrible it is, what they
yeah,
do know.
yeah.
And
That's why there's tarot cards buried under the Vatican, right?
and that's why
These
us
work.
heathens are out here, flipping our tarot cards for people, and people are watching,
Mm-hmm.
because people know that it's not the only story. People
Yeah.
know that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know.
Well, the only other thing I got for like altar stuff is the musk. If there's a an earthy sort of fragrance that you want to use, or smoke or incense or anything, that was the one that came up and spilled out of the bottle. So definitely, when the crystal like falls on the floor and you're like, oh, that's the one I gotta use. It's like
Yep.
it's trying to get away from me. So
Right? The book that hits you in the head as you're passing. Yeah.
boop,
Oh,
dropped
oh,
almost
good
the
job.
whole bottle. I thought it was a dropper bottle, dropped almost the whole bottle on the lamp, cleaned it up, but everything smells like musk. That's kind of what I'm getting. I'm sure we'll have more. And I know Giblets always enjoys to get in front of the camera before the full moon or on the full moon. At least check out the community page for some pictures. But this is going to be interesting. Let me know what's going on in the comment section, and the cannoli recipe too. How the ricotta worked out for you. We're gonna go. Thank you so much, you guys, and we'll
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening. We love you.
thank you. And I don't think I properly introduced you, Dr. Vicky Skirbo from the Transformation. We just started talking. It's hard for me to transition from what we were talking about. We're like, oh, this is a good time to start recording,
Right, right. Yeah.
and then start recording, and I didn't have anything planned other than what my little cannoli did for me today. So funny. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Take care, everyone. Namaste.